as you point out, CBD is legal since 2018. Ethically, there probably are still a couple of questions that I'd be interested on your thoughts on. Firstly, one of the benefits of CBD is said that it reduces anxiety, that it can help people sleep. I often think the ability to deal with nerves around big games, like especially the sort of level that you got to, like that's part of sport. Do you feel people who take CBD have an advantage?
I mean, that's like, it's classified as a food supplement, so you could say do people who have protein, you know, have an advantage to people who have vitamin C and vitamin D, and so to me that argument kind of falls quite short. It's a CBD as an isolate is a legal product for athletes to take, so it's something that... Have
you seen benefits from it? Like, do you feel that pre-match you are a bit more relaxed, that you can sleep better because of CBD?
So as a owner of a company, we're quite we've got our hands tied in terms of what we can and can't say. It is a food supplement, so we can't make any medical claims. So talking about anxiety and things like that would classify as a medical claim.
Yeah.
But, personally, I find it does help for sleep. I feel calmer and therefore sleep better, and a lot of gains can be made out of, you know, correct sleep, especially as a sportsman. You get a lot of your recovery done in your sleep. But to put it into context,
I guess the question around that is, is that natural?
What, CBD, hemp and cannabis have been used for thousands and thousands of years. Only in the last 150 or 200 years has it been stripped back down to law changes. So I'd say it's as natural as anything we've been doing for thousands of years.
I mean, you know, people take caffeine to get themselves up for a game. So I don't see why people can't use another sort of natural substance to sort of help them prepare for a game. It's a healthier way to sort of go about that, I feel.
But on the wider scale, like, I know CBD is one thing, but medical cannabis is a completely other sector, and that's something that is, you know, in my opinion, should be allowed for professional sportsmen. It's not a performance enhancer. It comes with a load of benefits, you know, and it's a natural product. So I think people need to change their mindset, and people are. Laws are changing.
We are obviously still in a situation where both in Ireland and in Britain, the cannabis is illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure,
And it feels as though we're probably still a bit away from that changing.
We are, but that's on the recreational side. Within medical cannabis, you know, there were 100 or so prescriptions last year, but you look at Germany, there were 250,000 prescriptions last year for medical cannabis. So,
you think that should be extended to sports people?
I think it should, yeah. Why shouldn't it? As long as it's legal within your country. But medical cannabis, I feel, is something different. I'm not talking recreational. I'm talking medical.
It's for a specific use.
Yeah.
The other question is probably around pain relief and about how much pain relief then is performance enhancing. Obviously, rugby has become more and more attritional. The hits are getting harder. The body is taking more and more pain. That at times you should probably just stop and listen to that pain, and that actually, whether it's painkillers or something like CBD that's easing that pain, that it's not personally... Maybe it's not the best thing for your health to be ignoring those warning signs that are there. Like, is this something that helps you get on the pitch more often than you would otherwise?
You know, what I would say, first of all, you're exactly right. Painkillers, I guess, do mask a pain. They mask it, whereas, you know, there's research coming out, a lot more research, particularly in America, showing that CBD and cannabis is a pain reliever, but it's also aiding in the recovery process. So, you know, I just feel that's a big subject. Firstly, the whole painkiller thing, because you know, you could go back and forth. Yeah, players got to pay the bills. They got to get out there. You know, they want to play first of all. That's the main thing. Players want to be on the pitch playing. They don't want to be on the physio bed. They don't want to be pulled from training or pulled from games. They want to be out there. That's what they're there for, and they've got a short span to do that. But there also has to be a fine line between how hard do we push them. I think education's the biggest thing. Educating players as to different methods to help in their body, or training loads, and, you know, being able to know when and managing them and pulling them back so that they can prolong their career, and more importantly, after their career.
Yeah. It's big on the coaches and the medical team have to have have a good relationship. The medical team have to be quite strong. A lot of you could get pressure from coaches, but then also, like you say, there's self-pressure. So I think that who sits right in the middle is, you know, your physio and their ability to say, no, look, this is what we're doing. This isn't right. This is what, and at least give you options, because, you know, if it's a World Cup final, if it's a, you know,
who does hold the
final.
power? Because I guess that is, like, players like often aren't the best person to make that decision, because you say,
right. Yeah.
like, you have a short career.
Yeah.
If it's the week of a World Cup final and you've got a bit of an injury, you're going to do pretty much whatever it takes within the boundaries to play, even if there are long-term effects. Like, do you look at where your body is now and think, actually, there were games where I played, where I took painkillers during the week just to get through it, that you're still going to suffer through now for the rest of your life? And do you regret that, or do you accept that?
I definitely accept that. It's been seen, and it probably to a degree is still seen as part and parcel of being a professional athlete. But that's definitely something that is starting to change. And what you're just saying then, like who holds the power? There's numerous examples of me, particularly towards the end of my career at Saracens, and Phil Morrow, who's the head of performance at Saracens. He would come up to me and be like, No, I've seen you trying to jog, like put
I remember.
like pulling me out and being like, no, we need you for the weekend. You're not doing this session. You're not doing that. Let's manage your loads and get ready. But not all clubs are there yet, and it's such a difficult one. But who's it fall on? I think there's a lot of responsibility on everyone, to be honest.
Sometimes you need pushing as well. Sometimes if it is just something small, but you need a little nudge to get out there. But it's a larger topic that I think we'll probably debate for a good while.
So how frequently do you take CBD then before a match? Like, you've obviously got different things in the range here: muscle rubs, joint gels, capsules, oils. Do you have a routine you now go through with it?
I'm more. I speak for myself. Dom's different, but I'm more kind of as and when I want to. I see it as a supplement, much like a vitamin C and D. But I see it more as kind of as and when.
The flip side is that, like, CBD is commonly used in America in particular. American footballers, I was just reading this week that the NFL held a forum on pain management with the Players Association, where the Players Association very much, like you're saying, are pushing for marijuana to be legalised. In fact, I think in the last few weeks in baseball, marijuana was legalised. The difference is American football to baseball, rugby, that they're impact sports. The damage you can do to somebody else when maybe you're not feeling the correct level of pain from the intensity of the hits. Like, do you think that's a factor in this?
I don't think you'd be. I don't think they'll be pushing for cannabis use within like the day of the game. I think that's not just about. I think they'll be talking about within the week and within
recovery.
within off season.
You're obviously quite passionate about this. Is this something you've?
It's something that I just think it's something that.
Is it something where you feel there is support starting to come for it?
100%, yeah. There is just within the UK. Medicinal cannabis needs opening up a bit more and needs a bit more exposure. 100% it does, and I feel like it should at some point trickle through to sport. I'm aware that I probably sound quite crazy right now talking about it, linking that with sport, but in 3 or 4 years' time, it might be very well different.
It's one of those things again where it's having the exposure, but then the education behind it has to be right, because a lot of people would still see medical cannabis as just people trying to smoke a joint and get high, which there's a specific purpose for medicinal cannabis, like it's prescribed. But the education is not just, for the public. Like there's a massive gap between the doctors prescribing the products, and that's where it's falling down with prescriptions. And
this is like high grade. It's been through all tests. It's been through everything that any other medicine would have been through. That's medical cannabis. That's what I'm talking about.
I just think a lot of people, look, you're obviously well aware of the debate that's around CBD and probably much more so around painkillers. That, like, people watch a Rugby World Cup, group stage, quarterfinal, semi-final, week after week, the intensity of those hits, the damage it's doing to the body, yet the players are going out there, are working through it, are taking things that are covering over the pain that they're actually going through, and that the effects we're probably not going to know for 10, 20 years.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have an answer for that. I mean, I don't have an answer to that because I'm probably have done or am doing the same thing. So it's
yeah, I mean,
was this a response? Because I have some of the quotes from when you were in Australia and talking about the painkiller culture that was there. And like you used the word that often comes up with this when rugby players talk about it, like a cookie jar that they walk down the bus almost with, take your pick. Was this a response, your interest in CBD, that something that wouldn't be as harmful as like the amount of painkillers that a lot of rugby players end up taking?
Yeah, listen, it's I personally see it as an alternative. Like you spoke there about you won't see the effects of cannabis possibly for 20, 30 years. Well, it's very similar to painkillers. Like if you're taking prescription drugs, which have been obviously given to you, then we're not going to know those effects till long after we're retired. So my answer to that, I mean, to your previous question would be, what's better, taking, not masking the pain, but sort of going along the route of painkillers, or going along the route of a natural substance, which is, you know, organic, natural.
Is that painkiller culture still there?
It's, like I said, this is a larger topic in terms of, and it's something that has so many points to, in terms of, like what we discussed. Does the player want to go out there so much? Is it coach led? Is there not enough medical staff sticking up for either side? But I think it's part and parcel of what you do. I do believe it's part and parcel of what you do. There's an understanding. I have been through times when I've pushed myself, thinking it's probably not the right thing to do, but 100% you push yourself because you got to do those sort of things.
Does that cycle not need to change? Because, like, listen, you're obviously an icon,
yeah.
And like young players coming through Saracens are looking at your career and how you've achieved it, and you've battled through the pain. That if they're going to do it, they're going to have to do the exact same thing. They're going to have to take a certain amount of painkillers, a certain amount of time. They just got to suck it up. Whereas that's not probably the right thing to do. Like, you're accepting that there's probably going to be some long-term damage when you retire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what you're telling 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say less emphasis on you can go down the route of not having to take a load of painkillers and that sort of stuff. I'm not. I think that's been blown up here in terms of how much people have to take, and I know Driscoll did a large piece on it as well. But I think that's been blown up. But
well, how long ago was it you were in Australia?
4 years.
And so you were talking at the time, it was a tub of tramadol, codeine, diazepam that they're walking down with. Like that's not that long ago. I know you were saying that was particularly loose, but it's not that long ago.
But what I would say as well is that it was all prescribed. Like you know, they were all prescribed medicines for a particular purpose. And what I would also say is that there is a place for it. There is a place if used properly. But you know, there's also, we feel, a place for a more natural substance if used properly as well.
The longer thing, the bigger things are the injuries and things like that. Which, I've had 7 operations, so they're the things that are going to stick with me a bit longer. And that's something that, you know, if someone is getting into sport, then that's something that they've got to be fully aware of. But I don't think that hasn't changed forever, you know.